Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon semua. Semua boleh dengar suara saya?
Boleh tak?
Okay. And then you can see the screen. I already share my screen, which is some sort like a whiteboard there. Okay, semua boleh nampak kan?
Nampak.
Okay, so today as planned, we are going to discuss on exercise 1.1 and 1.2. So beforehand, I hope you already watched the videos and do all the exercise and refer the answer to the exercise, right? Okay. So for today, I won't be going like exercise 1.1, dia ada 20 soalan. It has 20 questions. I won't be going like one question one by one. Okay, maybe I will pick some questions and then if the question that I did not pick and you happen to have questions for that one, okay, you may ask lah. Okay, let's start with question number 1, exercise 1.1. So this is about parametric equation. Okay, the parametric equation in which x is parameterized by a parameter t and y also parameterized by a parameter t. Okay, so for question number 1, you have x equals to 3t minus 5 and y equals to 3 plus 1. Okay, so if you have watched the videos, you know that there are two methods, two ways on how to solve this parametric curve. Okay, the questions asks you to sketch the parametric curve of the given parametric questions and indicate the orientation. Okay, so it does not specify any method. So you can use in between the two methods lah. The first one is using table. Using table tu maksudnya macam ni. Okay, you find the value of t and then find the value of x and y. Okay, this value of t you boleh buat apa-apa sajalah, ambil apa-apa nilai. If the question does not give you a region or a domain, macam question nombor 1 ni kan, dia tak ada domain kan, okay, then you can pick any value of t. It is very advisable for you to take the value of t from negative to -1, 0, 1. And then you make questions how many points to take. Okay, so actually dia tak ada satu orang kata trick lah yang mana you kena ambil this much point or this much points. Okay, the thing is you have to take the points as much as possible or that you can get the curve. Kalau katalah if you use these 3 points then you already get the curve, then it's enough. Okay, however if using this -1, 0, 1 you still cannot get the curve, then you expand your domain. Okay, tambah lagi -2, 2 and then -3, 3 and so on. Okay, and the second one is to eliminate parameter t. Okay, eliminating parameter t means you use this function. Let's say this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. Okay, so you solve a simultaneous equation. Let's say I choose from 1, I will have t equals to x plus 5 over 3. And then I substitute 3 into 2. Okay. So we'll have y equals to 2 x plus 5 over 3 plus 1, which is 2 over 3x plus 13 over 3. 13 over 3. Okay, so if you look into this equation, this is a straight line equation. Okay, in terms of y equals to mx plus c, whereby your m is the gradient, kalau you masih ingat lagi, okay. And then the c is the what? Y intercept kan? Okay, okay, so kita dapat a straight line. We have a straight line in which y equals to 2 over 3x plus 13 over 3. So our gradient M is 2/3. So 2/3 is a positive, right? So bila gradient positif, dia gradient ni dia ada dua saja. Actually dia ada keempat lah. Tapi kita belajar ni dua. Positif, positif is dia akan naik macam tu. So negatif dia akan turun macam tu. Okay. Okay, so kita dah boleh lukis. We can sketch our curve. So dia akan naik and then dia akan memotong 13/3. So you have something like this lah. Okay. The next one is to find the orientation. Okay, so if you miss out this orientation give you 1 marks, eh? Okay, so to find the orientation, find the value of t. Let's say t equals to 0, and then the next one is t equals to 1. Okay, any value of t, actually. And then make it from the minimum to maximum or the least one to the more one, okay? If t equals to 0, then I have x equals to -5. And then if t equals to 0, my y equals to 1. So I have -5 and 1. If t equals to 1, I will have 3 minus -2 and y equals to 3. So obviously dia daripada -5, katalah -5 ke sini, 1 kat sini, and then dia pergi ke -2, -2. So dia akan naik ke atas lah. That's it. Okay, that's the 1 mark that you will get for orientation.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
When the question says it doesn't say which method, we use first elementation and then the table.
No, you can use any method, just one method. If the question doesn't ask you to use any method, actually you can use this one. I didn't use a table. This one is to find the orientation only. To find the orientation, okay, you can take just 2 value of t, enough.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Right, let's look into question number 2. Question number 2 also does not give you a domain of t. Tak ada domain kan? Does not give you a domain of t. However, there's a constraint that you have to follow. Okay. X equals to square root t. Y equals to 1 minus t. Okay, as I said before, if you use table, okay, it is advisable for you to take a value of negative until positive, right? Okay. Katalah tadi macam tadi kita nak ambil negative 2, okay, until 2. However, for x specifically, for x, okay, if t let's say -1, then you'll have x equals to square root -1, which is undefined. Okay, so specifically t must be greater than or equals to 0. So you cannot use t negative here. Okay, so if t cannot be a value of negative, y also cannot be a value of negative lah. Dia takkan dia sekali. Okay, if the value of x here cannot be included, okay, cannot be defined, then y must follow. Okay, so you can only take a value of t greater than or equals to 0 here. Okay, that's how you do the you take the value, the domain. Even though the question does not give you the domain, but then you have to refer to your equation. Okay. Okay, let's say I use eliminate parameter t. This is 1, this is 2. So from 2, so I will have x equals to 1 minus y squared. Okay, for this one, obviously, kalau dah ada macam ni kan. Okay, the x has a value of square root means your x must be greater than or equals to 0 only. Okay, sebab x tu dia tertakluk kepada square. Tertakluk pada square root, sorry, not the square, square root. Okay, so square root only defined if you have a value of greater than or equals to 0. Okay, so what is the whole curve first? The whole curve is when I square, let's say I square my equation, I will have x squared equals to 1 minus y. Okay, so I have y equals to, okay, let's say you still don't know what's the curve is, but you know that y equals to x square kan? You tahu yang ini bentuk apa? Kalau y equals to x square, dia bentuk senyum. And then if it's y equals to negative x square, dia akan bentuk, let's something like this, masam. Okay. So this one is the negative, right? Negative y equals to negative x square. Okay, so dia akan jadi yang masam lah. Okay, how about 1? Okay, so maksud dia yang masam tu dia akan naik 1. Okay, so this is the whole curve. However, questions only one half of it. Okay, whenever you have square root means half of surface, half of the original surface. Okay, so this is the original surface. Half is the one that x greater than equals to 0. So you ambil belah sini sajalah. You ambil belah x equals to greater than equals to 0. This is 1. Faham eh? So yang ini pun you carilah. Tak cari pun tak apa sebenarnya. Tapi yang penting this one you label 1. Because this is y, this is x. Okay. So how do you find this one? How do you find this value? It is along the x-axis kan? If it's along the x-axis, then the y must be equals to 0. So when y equals to 0, then x here also equals to 1. Okay, and then along y-axis, it is x equals to 0. Okay. Okay, now you want to find the orientation. Okay, so again, orientation just plug in any two values of t. Let's say t equals to 0 and t equals to 1. Okay. If t equals to 0, then I have x equals to square root 0, which is 0. Y equals 1 minus 0, which is 1. So I have 0, 1. 0, 1 ke mana? This one lah. Okay, kalau dah kat sini, dia mestilah turun ke bawah. Okay, because it does not have anywhere to go else other than going down. Okay. Kalau if you don't believe that, then you try for t equals to 1. If t equals to 1, then x equals to 1, y equals to 1 minus 1 is 0, which is 1, 0. So it goes here. Okay, it goes down. So this is your answer. Okay. Remember, if the question does not give you a domain, you may have any domain, any value of t. However, please refer back to your equation. If it's if the equation has square root, then square root must only be defined when you have a positive value. Okay. Question number 3 pun sama. Question number 3 is a straight line. Okay. Ini lagi senang. Okay. Question number 3 is easy because the question gives you a set of domain in which from -2 until 3. So you just follow that one lah. The value you just follow that one. Okay, let's go into question number 4. Which is this is a set of trigo function lah, sine and cos. A set of trigo parametric function. Okay, from negative pi until pi. Okay, whenever you have a trigo in the parametric equations, kan, you have to use this identity. The identity of cos squared theta plus sine squared theta equals to. Okay, one more thing. This identity holds if the argument of the cos and sine is the same. Means it's not only theta. Let's say I have cos squared x plus sine squared x is also equals to 1 because the argument is the same, x. If it is a cos squared 2x plus sine squared 2x, it is also equals to 1. Okay, faham provided that the arguments of cos and sine is the same, then the identity will be equals to 1. Tapi if you have cos squared x plus sine squared 2x, it is not equals to 1. Faham sebab ini student selalu tersilap ni. It is not equals to 1. Why? Because this is x, whereby this is 2x. It's different. It's different argument. Okay. So we will use this one. Let's say I use eliminate parameter t using that one. So this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. Okay, square both equation. So x squared equals to sine squared theta and y squared equals to cos squared theta. Therefore, sine squared theta plus cos squared theta is equals to x squared plus y squared, which is equals to 1. Okay. So if you have x squared plus y squared equals to 1, then you know it is a circle because it is a equation of a circle, kan? Equation of a circle whereby the radius is equals to 1 and the center is on 0, 0. Okay, if you still remember equation of default equation, the general equation of circle is x minus h squared plus minus k squared equals to r squared. Okay, this is general equation of circle. So masih ingat lah. Okay, apa dia R ni? R ni adalah radius. And then the center is h, k. Okay, radius equals to R. Okay, then we can sketch our parametric curve. So kita dapatlah center, circle, radius, kosong, kosong. Buat je. 1, 1. This is the 0, 0. Okay, now again we must okay, we must indicate the orientation. Okay, so how to indicate orientation? Let's say I choose 2 value of theta, theta equals to, it gives you negative pi until pi. So let's just choose negative pi first and then theta equals to 0. Or to be easy, let's choose theta equals to 0 then theta equals to pi. So yang ini tekan calculator sajalah. Calculator sekejap Okay, sine 0 is 0, so x equals to 0, cos 0 is equals to 1. Semua tahu tekan calculator kan? Okay, kalau bila you tekan calculator, untuk cos trigo, you have to use radian. Radian jangan guna degree. Kita kena guna radian. We have to use radian for applied calculus. We are not using degree And then there's a pi kan? Pi must associate with radian, not degree. Degree must be 90 degree, 30 degree, a set of value like that. Okay, sine pi is also equals to 0 and then cos pi is negative 1. Okay, so it starts from 0, 1. 0, 1 is here. This is theta equals to 0 until it goes to 0, negative 1. 0, negative 1 is here, which is theta equals to pi. Now, the question is, it is going towards counterclockwise or clockwise? Because when I choose theta equals to 0 and theta equals to pi, I only get 2 points from 0, 1 until 0, negative 1. Okay? You tak boleh buat macam ni. You cannot do orientation like this. This is not the orientation because the orientation must be along the curve only. Okay, along the curve. If your curve is straight line, then the orientation must be along the straight line. If your curve is a parabola curve, then the orientation must be along the parabola curve. Okay, so you have to narrow down your search. Okay, let's say from 0 to pi, kita kecilkan, kita ambil pi over 2. You narrow down your search, find pi over 2. So when pi over 2, the sine pi over 2 will be 1. And then the cos pi over 2 will be 0. So it goes to 1, 0 here lah, which is, this is theta equals to pi over 2. So your orientation will be clockwise. Okay. So yang ini salah lah. Bukan yang ini This one must be the correct. Okay. So it is a try and error lah juga. Okay. Some sort of try and error. If you cannot like, but then you must think logic. You must think logic like that. Macam tadi kan. Okay. It cannot be the orientation cannot be along the y-axis. This is y-axis and cannot be along the y-axis. It must be along the curve. Okay. So you narrow down your domain and you will find the correct orientation, which is clockwise. And then question number 5. What's the difference from question number 4 and question number 5 is the radius. Okay. Ini 0 theta. Okay. The radius. So for 5 here, the radius means the radius for x is equals to 5. 2 here means the radius for y equals to 2. Okay, so it is still it's not a circle anymore. Sorry, it's not a circle anymore because the radius for x is 5. Let's say 5 here and then 2 here. Then you have an ellipse lah. You buatlah cantik sikit ellipse awak tu. Okay. So tadi berapa ni? This is 2, this is 5. Okay, so this is an ellipse. Okay, now to find the orientation again, if theta equals to 0, then I have x equals to 5, y equals to sine 0, 0, theta equals to, let's say I choose pi over 2. Sebab tadi nampak, tadi bila kita guna pi, dia akan terus ke sebelah sana kan. So, x will be equals to 0, and then y will be equals to 2. So, it's from here, 5, 0 here, which is theta equals to 0, and then it goes to here, theta equals to pi over 2. So, you have a counterclockwise orientation. Okay. And then question number 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, semua sama tu. It's all using similar method on how to solve it. Okay, let's say I choose question number 6. X equals to 3 cos t plus 1. Y equals to 3 sine t minus 2. Okay, it does not give you any domain, so you may use from 0 to 2 pi lah. Okay. Okay, so the identity is cos squared. If the question using t, so let's use t. Cos squared t plus sine squared t equals to 1. So we have to use this identity. Okay, so yang ada adalah cos and sine, right? So leave your equations in terms of cos and sine only. So the cos from 1 will be x minus 1 over 3. Okay, and then from 2, it is sine, right? So leave the equation in terms of sine. Sine will be y plus 2 equals to 3. Okay. So when you want to use the identity, it is cos squared t plus sine squared t equals to 1. What is the cos? Cos is x minus 1 to the power of 3 squared plus, and then look, the sine is y plus 2 over 3 squared equals to 1. So again, it is a circle, in which if I simplify the equations, I will have x minus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals to 9. Kenapa 9? Because 3 to the power of 2. 3 kuasa 2 sama 9 kan? Okay, yang belah y pun 3 kuasa 2 sama 9. So you bring the 9 to your right hand side, then we'll get this one lah, which is a circle. Now the radius is equals to square root 9, which is 3, and then the center is, it has a center 1, negative 2. Okay. Let's sketch the curve. Now we have to find the center first. Center satu adalah satu. Then negative 2. This is 1, this is negative 2. So center is here. Okay, now it is a sketching and sketching, you don't have to write in detail. You don't have to, it's not drawing, it's a sketching. Sketching does not to be in detail. However, it must be logic. Okay, what means by logic? Okay, you see here, the center is 1, negative 2, whereby the radius is 3. Kalau you buat macam ini sahaja, you buat macam ni saja, okay, nampak macam betul because your circle is around the center. However, it's not logic lah. It's not something logic because the radius is equals to 3. So you have to sketch a circle of radius 3. Yang ini 1, 2, dia mesti lebih sini. This one is 1, 2 must be here. So it must be somewhere here lah. Contohnya. Faham eh? And then cari lukis tu ikut lah. Now again the orientation. Okay, dia sebenarnya untuk orientation dia ada trick for the trigonometry. Okay, dia trick dia kalau x tu yang cos, y tu sine, so dia akan jadi counterclockwise. You may try find Try, macam mana nak try cari orientation? Just use t equals to 0 and then find t equals to pi over 2. What's the value of x and y there? Okay. So jangan lukis yang merah ni, merah ni salah. It must be the black one. So the same goes to question number 7, 8, and 9. Okay, you leave out your equation in terms of x, in terms of sine and cos only. Okay, other than that, you bring to either left hand side or right hand side, depends. Okay, and then square both sides. Okay, use the identity and then we'll get the either it's a circle or an ellipse. Okay, depends on the radius. Question number 10 is also a straight line. Okay, how do I know it is a straight line or curve or a circle? Question number 10. Okay, so you may look into the parameters, the power of the parameter. Let's say here x equals to x is to the power of 1, t to the power of 1, y to the power of 1, t also to the power of 1. So if every of the parameters and variables to the power of 1, then you will have a linear. Then linear will give you a straight line. Okay, but if only one of the parameter other than to the power of 1, then your curve is no longer a straight line lah. Okay, for example, if I have x equals x to the power of 2, so it is no longer a straight line. Or if I have y square root y, also no longer a straight line, but y dah jadi square. Okay, and then if your parametric equations in terms of cos and sine will be a circle or ellipse, depends on the radius. Okay, if the radius are the same, means Rx equals to Ry, sama kan? So dia akan jadi circle. Okay, however, dia slightly change sikit je pun, tak sama. Okay, if it's that's not the same in between radius of x and y, then it will be an ellipse. Okay, and then the other one I said just now is if your x equals to cos, and then your y is equals to sine, then you will have a counterclockwise. Tapi kalau dia bertukar, and if your if your x equals to sine and your y equals to cos, then it will be clockwise. Dia ikut arah jam. Okay, so you may try lah. Tengok ni, bila you buat banyak-banyak ni nanti you dah nampak dah. Oh, betul macam ni memang. Okay, if x equals to cos, then it will be counterclockwise. Okay, so for questions 11, okay, contoh macam 11, 12. Okay, let's say question number 11, 12, 13. It is no longer it is no longer a straight line because you have a square root there. Okay, and then 13 you have a square, and then 14 also you have a square, even though the square is only on the y, kan? Okay, only on one parameter, then they are no longer a straight line. Let's see question number 15. 15 is in terms of cost. Okay, if you have a trigonometric function, cos ke, sine ke, macam soalan 16 tu dia sine kan. Okay, don't use a value of whole number, -1, -2, jangan. But then you have to use a of 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2 until 2 pi. Okay, unless the question give you a specific value lah. Okay, if not, then use this one by default dia mestilah kosong, pi per 2, pi, pi per 2 dan so x tu follows lah apa dia, y tu apa dia, 60. Okay, so you have to use this value Okay, let's say I choose to use the eliminate parameter t. Tu nampak lagi macam lagi senang lah. It's easier to use eliminate parameter t. Let's say this is my first equation. This is my second equation. So I just substitute my second equation into my first equation. So we'll have x equals to 1 minus y. But then it has square kan? So y square. Okay, so kalau tadi y equals to x square, tahu dah muncul macam ni dengan macam ni. But then it is x equals to y square. X equals to y square means it is belah sini kan. And then if x equals to negative y square, it will be here. Okay, the blue one. So in our case, it is the blue one, okay? Because they are the negative at situ. How about the one? Okay, the one means dia akan pergi pada nilai 1 lah. So 1 kat sini. Okay, and then is it the whole thing? It is the whole thing. Is not, there is no square root, so it takes the whole curve lah. Tak ada square root kan? Okay, kalau square root, then you have to look into the square root value. Is it half y positive or half y negative? So it's either two ways lah. Okay, sebab yang ni ada dua saja, sama ada belah atas atau belah bawah Okay, now the orientation. Let's see, we choose t equals to 0 and t equals to pi over 2. Just two value. If t equals to 0, then I have cos 0 is equals to 1. 1 minus 1 is equals to 0. Cos 0 equals to 1, y equals to 1. And then cos pi over 2 is what? 0. So x equals to 1, y equals to 0. So from here, x0, y1 is here, 0, 1, and then it goes here, which is 1, 0, but then it is a trigo function. Okay, so for any trigo functions, they are waveform kan, they are the waveform macam, let's say sine, this is the sine graph. Okay, at one part, it will goes back to and then this is cos t. Okay, and then until 2 pi, dia akan patah balik. Okay, this is the same similar waveform. Okay, sama juga macam ni. Bila dia pergi atas, dia patah balik ke sini, dia akan patah balik. So it is like a pendulum. Okay, they are going back and forth like that. Okay. It happens for trigo functions only. Because trigo functions kan sine pun dia ada waveform, cos pun dia ada waveform juga. Okay, so whenever your equation has cos and cos, so sine and sine, so you will have a orientation of going back and forth. Okay, around the curve. And then the same with question number 16. Question number 16 is sine. Okay, so kalau x sine 1, y equals to 1 minus x square, so dia akan jadi bentuk masam. Okay, 16 will be this one lah, masam, and then the orientation will be going back and forth like that. Okay.
Madam.
Yeah.
So always when we have cos and
sine,
it's
yes,
going back and forth.
Yes, because it is the properties of trigo functions. The properties of trigo function is going back and forth in the same shape from 0 to pi and then another shape, unless the question give you a specific region. For this example, 15 and 16, there are no specific domain, right? No specific domain, so it will goes back and forth. But then if the question give you from 0 to 2 pi, okay, 0 to pi only from here to here lah. So yang belah sini tak ada, it does not have any so it will not goes back to the original shape lah. Sorry, the original orientation. Just stop until 2 pi.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Same goes with 16, because the question does not give you any domain, so it will goes back and forth. Okay. Tapi if the question give you a domain, then you have to refer to that domain.
Ni dia nak tanya.
Yeah.
Macam mana nak tekan guna kalkulator cos kuasa 2 tu? Macam mana nak tekan?
Oh, cos kuasa 2. Contoh katalah you nak ambil cos kosong kan. Cos kosong you ada 1. And then you ambil daripada value ni, you kuasa 2 kan yang ini je. Ataupun you boleh buat
kuasa 2 kan yang value yang kita dapat tu
Yes. Okay, sekarang ni dia cos square t. The cos square t, okay, if you want to put the value in a calculator, use the calculator, you can use this one, cos t squared. It is the same, similar. Okay, but then dia tidak sama dengan cos t squared. Dia tak sama. Nampak tak kenapa dia macam freeze
Nampak.
Nampak Saya pula tak nampak. Okay, cos squared t equals to cos t bracket, okay, and then the square outside, because when you write cos squared t, the square is for cos. Okay, the square is for cos. However, if you write cos t squared, the square is for t. Okay, difference lah, beza kat situ. And then jangan pula yang ini dia tak akan jadi tiba-tiba cos square t pun kuasa 2, cos kuasa 2 t pun kuasa 2. Lagilah salah. Okay, faham
Faham.
Okay. Now let's look into 17 to 20. So 17 to 20, it is all an ellipse curve. Semuanya ellipse kan, sebab the radius of x is 5, the radius of y is 3. Whereby for question 19 and 20, the radius of x is 2, the radius of y is 4. And then it only gives you a different domain. Okay, so the different domain may give you a half curve, okay, a half ellipse, contoh maybe, or maybe a quarter ellipse, so depends on the domain. Okay, so that one saya rasa tak masalah Okay, so let's go to exercise 1.2 question. So exercise 1.2 only have 10 questions here. And then the question is just a simple question. Okay, so saya rasa tak masalah lah ni. Okay, question number 1, sketch the points 2, 4, 6 and 4, -3, -2 on a single coordinate system. So let's say x2, y4, and then here is 6. Okay, so to draw a point on three-dimensional coordinate system, okay, from the x-axis, draw a line parallel to y, and then from y-axis, draw a line parallel to x. And then this is the point of intersection between x and y. Okay, so you draw a straight line from the origin to the point of intersection, and you bring it either upward or downward, depends on the value of z. Now the z is positive z, right? Okay, so it is going upward lah. Okay, and then draw a line parallel to this line. Okay, they must be parallel. So this is the 2, 4, and 6. Okay, for the first point. For the second point, on the same coordinate system, but so let's say this is 4, and then -3. So -3 is a -y. -y means it is on the your left hand side. So 1, 2, 3. So this is -3. And then -2 is on the z-axis. Let's say this is -2. Okay. So again, you draw a line parallel to y, another line parallel to x. Okay. So this is the point of intersection. So this is the line. Okay. And then you draw a line parallel to that line of point of intersection. So this is the point of 4, -3, and -2. So I have 2 points there. The first point is this one, then the second point is this one. Okay, so I hope there will be no problems for you to sketch any other point. Okay, question number 2. So sorry, the easy question. Okay, y equals to 2 in one dimension, 2 dimensions, and 3 dimensions. So one dimension is only a number line. So let's say this is y. So let's say this is 2. So this is in one dimension, it will be only a point. Okay, in 2 dimension, it will be a, let's say this is 2. So it will be a line in 2D. In 3 dimension, it will be a plane. So let's say this is 2. Okay. In 3 dimension, there's no, if you look into the one dimension, in 2 dimensions, okay, if there is no x, okay, then your line will be along x-axis, okay, along x-axis. But sini adalah paksi x, okay, then the line will be along x-axis because there is no x, okay. So similar to the 3 dimensions, there are no x and there are no z. So your point here, it will be along z-axis and along x-axis. So what you have is a plane. Plane on y equals to 2. Okay, so you can imagine your plane lah, macam tu. Okay, question number 3.5 is to sketch a box. Okay, let's say kita tengoklah 3, 4 tu boleh buat sendiri based on question number 5 ni. Sketch a box in the 6 octet having the length, width and height of 5, 6 and -10. Okay. Okay, so where is the 6 octet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 belakang sini kan? 6 octet is here, here and this one belakang sini, in which the x is negative, the y is positive, and then the z is negative. Okay, so you boleh ambil lah, buat je lah box kat situ sebab dia suruh buat box kat situ kan. Dah settle. Cuma tinggal lagi value dia apa? 5, 6, 10. So bila 5, but then the x is negative, so it will be -5. 6 is positive, and then z is 10. However, it is negative, right? So it must be -10. Okay, this is in the 6 octet. Question number 4 and 3 pun sama Kalau 8 octane kat mana? Kat bawah belah sini pula. Kita saya lukis tempat yang sama. Bawah belah sini pula. This is the 8 octane. So you akan lukis contoh lah Saya lukis besar-besar lah, lukis kecil tak apa, yang penting nampak box. So this is the box of 8 octane. Which 8 octane tu berapa satu Question number 3. Okay, and then question number 4. 7 sebelah sini lah 7. Sebelah sini pula. Tapi dia mestilah lukis ke bawah. Lukis saya cantik sikit Okay. This one and this one, and this one. So X is negative, Y also negative, and then Z also negative. 7 is all axes negative. So it is negative 4, negative 5, and negative 11 sekali. Okay. This is question number 4. Okay, let's look into question number 4, 5, 6. Okay. Find the distance from 2 to 4. To the A is on XY plane. Okay, on XY plane, what is 0? The Z equals to 0 kan? So you cari distance from 2, 3, 4 to 2, 3, 0. Kenapa 0? Sebab pada XY plane ni Z yang kosong. Okay, so what's the distance? Boleh calculate lah. Sama juga untuk B. B is on the XZ plane. So the XZ plane is when Y equals to 0. So 2, 3, 4 until Y equals to 0, 2, 0, 4. And then YZ plane. YZ plane is when X equals to 0. So distance from 2, 3, 4 to 0, 3, 4. Okay. And then D. D is x-axis. X-axis apa yang kosong? X-axis it only has a value of x. Okay. So Y is 0, Z is 0. Okay. So 2, 3, 4 until 2, 0, 0. Okay. And then y-axis also, y-axis is x equals to 0 and then z equals to 0. So you cari daripada 2, 3, 4 ke 0, y ada 3, 0. Because the value of y-axis point is x equals to 0 and z equals to 0. And then lastly z-axis. Z-axis, on the z-axis, it is x equals to 0, y equals to 0. So you find the distance of 2, 3, 4 until 0, 0, 4. Okay. Don't do like this only. You have to find the distance. This is what the distance. Distance. Okay. Distance. Ini saya cuma bagi apa? Hint dia lah macam mana nak cari tu. What's the distance? Okay. Try solve for every questions. Solve the distance for every question. What's the distance? Okay, don't just leave out your answer to be like this. Okay. So question number 7 is also the same. Okay, you have to know the meanings of XY plane apa dia, Y Z plane apa dia, XZ plane apa dia. Okay, so ini semua dah diterangkan dalam video lah actually. Okay, those yang dah tengok video tu mesti dah tahulah. This is X, this is Y, this is Z. So XY plane is here. When your Z equals to 0. X-axis tu apa? X-axis yang ini. X-axis yang ini which is y equals to 0, z equals to 0. Itu beza dia dengan plane and axis. Okay, this is x-axis. This is y-axis. This is z-axis. Plane, xy plane, you nampak macam xy plane is your floor, your flooring. Okay, your floor is xy plane. Kalau you imagine you dalam bilik. Okay, dalam satu bangunan, you build in a building, then your xy plane is the floor, and then the yz plane here is your dinding lah. Okay, it's your wall here. And then another wall on your right hand side, which is the xz plane. Okay, you imagine it's like another wall there. So on this wall xz plane, the y equals to 0. In this wall yz plane, your x equals to 0. And then along the axis, the z-axis, x equals to 0, y equals to 0, and then y-axis, x equals to 0, z equals to 0. So if you understand this one, okay, bagilah soalan macam mana pun you boleh jawab lah, tak ada masalah. Okay, so you imagine yourself in a building, in a room, okay, some sort of room. Okay, so question number 8 and 9 also, to find the distance, you just use the distance formula. So semua tahu kan distance formula ni? Ini daripada darjah 1 kita dah guna. Sorry, prosedur pula. Y2 minus Y1 squared plus X2 minus X1 squared plus, okay, yang ini adalah yang biasa. Okay, if you have a two-dimensional coordinate system, then your equation only comprises of x and y. However, you have another variables in three-dimensional coordinate system, which is the z kan. So tambah je lah lagi z equals to z1 squared. Okay, so that is the distance for 3D. Okay, last one, let's look into, this is question number 8 and 9. 8 and 9, just use this formula. Sama lah juga tadi pun. 8, 9, 6 and 7. Okay, use that formula. Okay, last one, let's see question number 10. Sketching. So this sketching is very important. Okay. Even though chapter 1 and 2 is only will be tested in your test, however, the sketching problem will be used until chapter 4. Okay, sebab untuk menyelesaikan, to solve the integration problem, okay, you have to sketch the curve first. Okay. Okay, let's see x equals to 8. Now, when the question asks you to sketch planes must be in 3D tadi kan. Okay, kalau 2D, kalau you buat dalam 2D, it's no longer plane. 2D is only a line. Okay. So you have to sketch in a 3D. Okay, so x equals to 8. Let's say x equals to 8 here. There are no y, no z. So your plane must be along z-axis and along y-axis. Okay. Mana-mana variable yang tak ada tu, okay, your curve will be along that missing variable. Okay, as if you have a kertas ni pada x-axis. The A4 paper, you imagine you have a A4 paper. Okay, this is a plan lah ni, A4 paper ni pada x-axis. Okay. And then B sama juga. Y equals to negative 2. So where is negative? Negative 2 is on your left hand side. Okay. No x, no z. So along z-axis, along x-axis. So you akan nampak dia tergantung sepi pada y equals to negative 2 kat situ. Okay. X equals to z. Okay, now you have a x equals to z. So you ada satu garis macam ni kan. No y, so this line will be along y-axis. Okay, along y-axis. Sebenarnya tak perlu lukis ni, boleh lukis sampai bawah pun boleh. Okay. You lukis nak sampai ke sebelah sana pun boleh, because it does not restrict on the y positive only kan. Dia boleh jadi y negative part also. So boleh lukis panjang-panjang mana pun. Okay. Or if you want to only draw this part pun boleh tadi, macam ni tadi. Yang ini part ini saja pun boleh. Okay, there's no restriction unless the question give you some sort of domain that you have to obey. Okay, so for D, you have x plus z equals to 1 now. Okay, so for this one, there are no x, there are no y, variable, no value of y. Okay, so your y will be arbitrary, what we call arbitrary lah. Okay, when this arbitrary means your curve will be along that arbitrary variable. Now, your curve will be along y-axis, but then what curve? Okay, so you have x plus z equals to 1. Okay, you have to find the point of intersection in between variable in between the x-axis and z-axis. Okay, let's say you choose x equals to 0. When x equals to 0, then your z will be equals to 1, right? And then when your z equals to 0, your x will be equals to 1. Okay, you just connect these 2 points. Okay, connecting these 2 points, you have a straight line. Okay, now your straight line will be along the y-axis. Then you have a plan some sort like this. Okay, that's how you do the plan of consisting of 2 variables. Only one missing variable. So the plan will be along that missing variables. Okay. Okay, D 2y minus 3z equals to 6. So this is also the same. The missing variables is x. So we will have a plan along x-axis. Okay. But what is the plan? Let's say if I choose z equals to 0, then my y will be equals to 2y equals to 6, which is y equals to 3. And then when I let z equals to 0, or z equals to 3, when I let y equals to 0, when y equals to 0, then negative 3z will be equals to 6, or z will be equals to negative 2. So negative 2 is here. Okay, so again, you connect these 2 points. Okay, you will have a okay, saya naikkan sikit negative 2 here. Negative 2 here. Okay, so you connect these 2 points. Okay, and then this line will be along x-axis because there are no x variable line. Okay, so you lukis sajalah along that x-axis. So we'll have something like this. Okay. Okay, that plan cut the y-axis in y equals to 3, and it cuts out the z-axis in z equals to negative 2, and then the plan is along the x-axis. And then we have A, B, C, D, 3 more. Okay. E. Sorry, this is supposed to be E. Okay, sorry, this one is supposed to be E. Okay, so F. Okay, so again, there are only one variable missing, which is z. Okay, so our curve will be along z-axis. Okay, what curve? Let's say I choose x equals to 0, then y equals to negative 2. Negative 2, let's say here. And then when y equals to 0, x will be equals to 2. So you have something like this. Okay, you connect these 2 intersection points. Okay, and then along, make it along z-axis. So it will be along the z-axis here. Something like this. Okay. X plus 2y plus 3z equals to 6. So there are no missing variables now. We have all the 3 variables x, y, and z. Okay, so this is the easiest one. You just have to find the intercept. Okay, the intercept point for each axis. Okay, how to find it? Let's say you let any 2 variables to be 0, and then you find the value of one variable. Let's say x equals to 0, y equals to 0, then z will be equals to 3z equals to 6, which is z equals to 2. So 2 here. Okay, and then if my y0, x0, x will be equals to 6, and then x0, y, z0, the y, 2y will be equals to 6, y equals to 3. Okay, so you just connect all these points together, then you will have a plan like that. So remember, if you have one missing variable or two missing variables, your plan will be along that missing variables. Okay, dia akan jadi sepanjang paksi itu sahajalah. Okay, what I just said in Malay is just a translating of what I said in English. Sometimes I just use bilingual here, but I don't leave out any point, any important point. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so for three-dimensional coordinate system, you have to know how to sketch a point. You have to know how to calculate the distance, and most importantly, you have to know how to sketch the curve, the planes in three-dimensional coordinate system. Okay, basically the question will ask you about sketching lah. All right. If there's no more questions, then make sure you write down your name and your student ID first before you may leave the Google Meet. Okay, thank you everyone, and I will give you the recording session afterwards. Okay, this recording class afterwards.